Greetings, brothers and sisters. Today is the 17th Sunday in Ordinary Time, and it is also the Sunday where we celebrate the World Day of Grandparents and the Elderly. Our readings today invite us to pause and recognize that God calls each and every one of us and has planned for each and every one of us in a unique and special way. None of us is a product of some crazy astronomical or cosmic mistake. And in the unfolding of events, no one is excluded or forgotten. Each and every life has a meaning, each person has a role, and each and every one of us participates in the mystery of God's love. As the Church celebrates the World Day of Grandparents and the Elderly, we are reminded that in our families, our parishes, our societies, there are many people, especially the elderly, who can slowly become invisible because of the circumstances and situation of their time. Their voices tend to grow quieter in our lives, and their presence fades into the background. And as they become less visible, their worth and dignity sometimes can be downplayed. Pope Leo, in writing on today's commemoration, writes that sometimes, without even realizing it, we create systems and patterns of life that make others anonymous and push them into the shadows. We forget their stories, their contributions, the work they did to get us where we are today. And we ultimately fail to see their dignity, in a way that, in doing so, as the Holy Father shows, we risk allowing them to disappear into a kind of social oblivion. In many of our communities, however, we see this clearly. It is very evident that the elderly are sometimes left alone, confined to nursing homes, or living quietly in the rural areas where no one visits them, no one cares about their well-being, and they're no longer actively engaged. No one consults them, no one cares about their situation and well-being. At times, they become the target of everything that goes wrong in the family, and they are blamed for things they have never done. Kankane katonzwa wanzi mbuya anoroya, mai vako vazodai, and so on and so forth. This is all because they have grown up, they are no longer participative. And Gameno, Japres, as the one who was singing, this is what usually happens. Yet in these situations, we are called to recognize that they are still present, and many times over, they are not truly seen. This experience, however, does not limit itself to the experiences of the elderly. The painful reality is this feeling of being forgotten is something many of us have become so well aware of. At some point in our lives, we have all felt ignored, overlooked, and set aside. Perhaps by our own friends, the people we thought were supposed to be close to us, and sometimes within our own families. We may feel that our voice no longer matters and that our presence is no longer valued. But today, in the message of the Holy Father, the message is simple. God says to each and every one of us, I will never forget you. God's love does not function like human memory, and he is not hit with amnesia to the point where he does not remember, or the way he forgets that we are there. What he knows about us does not fade, nor does his love and his care for us grow tired. It does not depend on our supposed usefulness, productivity, or visibility. As Pope Leo reminds us, God's love forgets no one. Then reality then challenges us, my dear brothers and sisters, where we realize that it invites us to look more closely and more deeply into our lives and our own relationships. Jesus speaks about the pearl of great value, or the hidden treasure in the field. These are not always found in obvious places, as we have seen in the parable presented today. Often they are hidden in quiet lives around us, and the people we meet and do not always pay attention to. Sometimes it's the elderly person who stays sitting down after Mass, or those who usually come a bit earlier and sit down waiting for the rest of the church. Or it might be the sick who cannot even leave their beds, who stay home and can no longer participate in the life of the church. Or rather, it could be the young, whom we tend to look at always as a bench. They're always there to serve the benches. Or the people who no longer contribute in the way that society values. where we look at you like saying, Hana Mabasa, they are no longer working, they have no money, they contribute to the family, they have nothing big they're bringing to the community. All of these people could be places where treasure could be found. And so we ask ourselves, do we truly recognize the worth of every person? Do we truly see the dignity of the elderly, the sick, the unemployed, the forgotten? Do we value those who do not fit neatly into society's structures? Those probably who are outside the systems of success, productivity, or recognition. For example, we look at our own families. The moment you don't have a degree or you're not learned, you're not part of the family. We look at our families again, those vakaroorwa vakatsuka, vakamitiswa vakatsuka, vaya vakarambwa vakatsuka. All of those situations, they are part and parcel of what we see as socially acceptable. But when they do not fit into those circumstances, do we still see their value and their dignity? St. Paul reminds us with a very big assurance, all things work together for good for those who love God. And again, another place, he says, nothing can separate us from the love of God. And this has to be accepted, that we are not separated from God because of our age, our ill health, our weaknesses, and even from the point of view that we have been abandoned. Not even our suffering or losses can remove God from our lives. My dear brothers and sisters, this is the message that we are called to carry into the world today. This is what we have been called to become, the voice that echoes, that we make sure we deliver this to everyone, even to ourselves, that you are not forgotten, that you are loved, and that you matter. When we fail to see these things the way that we do, we fall into what Pope Francis would usually call the throwaway culture, a way of living where people are valued only by what they produce and what they bring to the table, where those who are weak and or dependent are cast aside. This is not the gospel values. This is not what we have, the vision that we carry when we enter into our societal and communal circumstances. In God's eyes, every single person shares his divine life, reflects his image, and ultimately is a part of God's story. My dear brothers and sisters, today we are then called to ask ourselves, God's promise, does it make sense to us? Does it have a place within our lives? God's promise that He will never forget us is what we are also called to carry as the promise to the rest of the world. It means, as families and as the church, we need to visit those who are alone, those who are lonely, those who have no one to see them. And this is not simply in relation to family members or parish life only. It also reflects on those priests and the religious who are no longer in active ministry. It's hard, if you want to be honest about it. How many times as parishioners we tend to ask when we have got an elder priest and a younger one? We always have this question, Dianani Mass to Nas, who's saying Mass today? The moment we hear it's Father Ningi, the older one, most of us are not even interested in going for Mass. Why? They've grown old. They are tired. They do not preach in the energy that we look forward to. But these are people who have consecrated themselves also, who need our attention, who need our presence. They're sisters, for example, those in Driefontein or in our different houses of the elderly in every diocese, who no longer have people to visit them, who can no longer come into the society and parishes for the sake of the work they have vowed themselves to God. They need our visits. They need to be seen and appreciated. This also means we need to call our elderly, the grandparents and the relatives that we know, our neighbors. In a world of technology, we have so many means to keep in touch with each other when distance hinders us. How many children, even now, who are in university or working far away, take time to actually call their parents, to communicate with them, to ask how they are, to look into their health? This is what is lacking. Why not make use of these things, these technologies, to link up with the young and the elderly, to update each other as life and days continue to pass by? There are grandparents who have not heard or seen Zukuru, their grandchildren, up to now. Why? People complain, distance, distance, distance. With the way technology has overlapped into every aspect of our lives, these are the moments when you send a picture of the young, send the picture of a Zukuru, tell Gogo, tell the youngsters, this is your Zukuru, this is your Mbuya. Let them be known, let them be part of the family. It also means we listen, to truly listen to their stories, their wisdom, their struggles, their situations, what they went through. Many of these elderly people contributed greatly to the church life that we talk about today, or to the situations of our own families. And many of these stories are not shared. Giving them time to share their stories gives them an opportunity and a moment for us to appreciate their wisdom, their experiences in the way that only they can. Right now, most of us tend to look at, what do you call this, the inheritance wars. Kagadzira ugaranaka. Tora mombe dzana mbuya nana sekuru nembudzi and all of those things. We look at the inheritance that we can get from anagogo and sekuru, the elderly, but we don't take time to listen to the stories as to how these things got to come. How did they manage to build their wealth? How did they come to have marriages that last so much? How many times have they gone through situations and they've managed to stand even now to the end of time until where they are today, where they can proclaim that I have lived this long and I'm about to meet my maker? It also means that we make space for them in families and in communities within the church as well. While they may be elderly and sometimes frail, they still have a lot to contribute, advice to give, and their very lives are not to be treated as if they're useless. This is the challenge that we have in our communities today. At the moment someone gets a certain age, they are removed. They are no longer consulted in the church, they are no longer looked at in the families, and they are now in the peripheries. But they have a lot of experience and knowledge that could be shared and experienced by those who are willing to listen. My dear brothers and sisters, even in our digital world, online, social media, where connections can be shallow, where many of us are only present from a spectator point of view, afraid to be involved because of cyberbullying and abuse that comes from visibility, we are called to create real encounters, moments of care, recognition, and love. When we reach out, we offer a kind comment to appreciate in likes and in whatever what others are doing and posting. We express these acts of grace. There are ways in which God's presence, this love, can be visible to the world, and moving into these individuals' lives allows them to move from anonymity to community. May we be a people who remember others, brothers and sisters, a people who notice where our presence, love, and care are needed. Let us be a people who learn to love, not in theory, but in practice and in action, not according to law, but from the depths of our hearts. By doing so, no one, especially the elderly and the vulnerable, will feel abandoned or forgotten. And through all of this, and through us, through our work, through our words, through our actions, may they come to know the truth deeply rooted within their hearts, that they are seen, that they are valued, and that they are eternally loved by God. May this Sunday allow you to have bond with your grandparents, your elderly, within our communities, within our parishes, and may the Lord grant you the gifts that you need and the grace that you need today. God bless you.